Vikes now. I am not Dustin Baker. In fact, I am Brevin Bain. I'll go by Breston Bainker for this episode, I guess. If you've watched Vikes now last couple of days, you would know Dustin's in Norway because I guess he can do that sort of stuff when you run stuff around here. I want to go to Norway one day. But today I have Edman here. If you're on Vikings Twitter, there's pretty much no way you haven't heard of Edman at this point. Edman, how are you doing tonight, fine sir?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great, and man, you are looking good as ever. By the way,
Thank you. You too,
yeah.
King.
Oh, thank you. So I just want to introduce you to the crowd. How did you become a Vikings fan? What made you want to cheer for this absolute shit show
So
of a franchise?
weirdly, I wasn't a Vikings fan as a kid, even though I'm from Minnesota. I was a Raiders fan up until Dante Culpepper got on the cover of Madden. And then I was just like, nope, that's it. That's why I'm switching.
Yeah,
So that's how I came around.
honestly, when I was younger, I had a soft spot for the Raiders. My mom liked the Raiders. It was weird. She liked the Raiders. She liked the Vikings. She loved RG3, and when he was on Washington, for
Mm.
that, I don't know why. But yeah, I have a soft spot for the Raiders, so I can kind of attest to that. When I was little, I was like, I mean, when I didn't know what I was talking about. I always played as the Chiefs on Madden, and my
Mm.
brother would be the Vikings. It'd be like Trent Green and Tony Gonzalez Hail Marys for an hour, and I just had a blast.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna get into some of the thick stuff here. Pause. Let's dive right into the Justin Jefferson news. How are you feeling? I mean, it kind of goes without saying how you're probably feeling about JJ, but what's your takeaways from the Jefferson extension?
I would have paid him whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Whatever he wanted. I mean, we got a rookie scale contract coming up. Darnold's cheap. It ain't going to matter. Pay him whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, we knew they were going to back up the Brinks truck, and I know offseason kind of gets slow. So for people outside of Minnesota being like, oh, he's going to Cincinnati. Oh, there's another Vikings wide receiver that's going to be traded in his prime. Like some of us had that fear too, for sure. But no,
Yep.
I think we knew all along that JJ was going to get paid, whether or not that Kirk Cousins was going to get extended. Did the price surprise you? Did you think it was too low, maybe too high?
No, I think it was right about where I expected. I honestly thought it'd only be like a 3-year deal, though. I didn't think he'd go
Yeah,
4 or even higher than that.
yeah. I honestly, I feel like that's, and I don't know anything. Obviously, um, maybe that's some of what held that deal up is that Minnesota came with the 5-year. JJ and his team wanted a 3-year, which that's what, again, that's to your point. That's what I would have done. But either way, he can cash in on his prime again. So I think he'll be 28, 29 when this extension wraps up. And
Yep.
Minnesota, actually, for people that don't know, they actually have kind of an out. Not that they're going to get out of it, but it's more like because they're going to extend him again in 2028, 2029, whenever it is, the year before this deal ends. So his deal really is kind of like 31, 32 mil a year. They'll
Mm.
extend him at the end of this contract and they'll push that money further. He'll probably get, I would guess, around this money. Who knows what the money will be by that point, but who knows what the Vikings would be wanting to commit to for a 28, 29-year-old receiver at that time. But it's going to
Right.
be an unreal amount of money. So either way, Minnesota gets out ahead of CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys coming to an extension. I think CeeDee Lamb's contract is going to be quite comparable to JJ's, maybe 2 or 3 mil a year less, but Minnesota gets out ahead of him, and we're going to start to see those receiver deals come in. We already did this offseason with Amon-Ra and Jalen Waddle. Now JJ, CD's going to get paid. Next year we're going to get Jamar Chase. Ooh, this is spicy. There we go.
Sorry,
Okay,
my kids are trying to sneak out of their room.
that's all right. If they got opinions, they can come. They can come on the channel. But, yeah, the run on receiver extensions has started.
Yep.
With that being said, the Vikings now have a very, very expensive receiving core room, including JJ, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison. So the way that these contracts are kind of lining up, they're all going to kind of expire in the same 2 or 3 year window.
Yep.
So, do you have any concerns? We talked about this a little bit in the group chat, kind of looking forward. Do you have any concerns about 4 or 5 years?
I don't see Hawk getting an extension after his contract is up. I think that far down the line, I'm not thinking about it too much. But if I were to think about it, at that point, you got to think: do you value Addison more or JJ? And I mean, let's be real; it's going to be JJ 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Unless Addison just becomes a superstar, I'm taking JJ. I'm just going to re-up him.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't think they can't re-sign all of them. I think you're right to where Hawkinson would probably not be given another deal. Some might say he probably shouldn't finish this one, but that's not me. That's some would say. But yeah, they'll be fine because then too, like he's going to sign an extension next year. His deal will probably be 4 or 5 years. In that 2027 to 2029 window, it's going to kind of be like now, to where you're going to have to pay all these superstars plus McCarthy if he pans out, or maybe if Sam Darnold is still here, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Who knows what could happen? We've seen quarterback controversy crazier in the past. The late 2020s are going to be very interesting for the Vikings, and everything that they've done so far to this point has kind of emphasize this seemingly 4 to 5 year window that Kevin O'Connell, and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah have. Another tidbit of news we got this week, over the past week or two, we got some new uniforms. So these were a little, I don't want to say controversial. There were quite a few that weren't huge fans of the uniforms. Right. Some like me were kind of like, I kind of have to make myself like these. And then there was the loud majority that was like, these are the best thing I've ever seen. So where do you fall in these uniforms?
I like them personally. I like them a lot. Something different, something new. It's refreshing.
Yeah. You're good.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Again, you're part of the loud majority that really like them. So,
I think I've seen a lot of people complain about the silver stripe down the middle. I personally like it. That's just me though.
That was the one thing and I'm sure you saw me talking in the aforementioned group chat, but that was the one thing that was like, I love the jersey and the pants. Like I'm a little iffy on the font of the Vikings above the number, but like
I feel like you can hardly see it.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. That's why I'm not really freaking out about it. I do really like the icicle drops on the numbers. Those are pretty sweet. But I'm an all whites guy. I don't mean that politically. I mean that as far as uniforms go.
Yeah, I get you.
So I was excited to hear that we're going to get all whites. Again, that silver stripe. I don't know. I imagine what the helmets would look like without the silver stripe. So they would probably look dumb then. So I
feel like they'd look like, you ever see the mini helmets you can get that are signed?
Yeah,
they would just look like those, in my opinion.
Probably, but yeah, maybe like more purple in the horn or something. I don't know. They wanted to get the silver in there somehow. But yeah. So those are cool. I predicted from their schedule release video that they would have blackout uniforms, because I don't know if you watched their schedule release video, like how all the teams do it now, their own special release thing. They said like Vikings dark mode coming in primetime games only, and they did like the Apple presentation, like they're doing an iPhone. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll get all black uniforms, but they're all white. So I don't know what the point of that on the schedule release was.
Little plot twist for you.
Yeah, well, this team always keeps you guessing.
So I don't know if I would like black jerseys, to be honest. It would be too much like the Ravens.
I think you'd have to do like a lot of yellow in them, but like probably too much yellow to not to the point of like looking like those Steelers alternates, but I don't know. I kind of agree with you. It sounds good in theory, but then you start thinking about what they'd look like, and you'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, Edman here is a trailblazer on Vikings Twitter. If you're not on Vikings Twitter, don't go on it. It sucks. But if you are on it, like I said, Edman. Edman has started a couple movements. His latest one are the Darnold Defenders. And for those of you, again, I don't know what Edman's about to say completely. So for those of you that are viewing Sam Darnold only as the bridge, which most likely that is probably what he will be, maybe that's not all it is. So Edman, this is your soapbox for Sam
All
Darnold.
right. So right when we signed Darnold, initially I meant this as a troll, and I tweeted out something along the lines of the last 6 years we dealt with the Kurt Crusaders, and
Mm-hmm.
we need a new group of people to defend our quarterback. So I dubbed the Darnold Defenders. This was back in March or May or whenever we signed him. I have a few other buddies that are real pushing the movement also on Twitter, and I might be serious about it now. Like from the clips I'm seeing in camp, he's got an arm, he's got a quick release. Granted, they're not in pads, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that year in San Fran really probably helped his development. You look at the two situations he was in with the Jets and the Panthers, both dumpster fires.
Yeah.
Awful. Don't see how anybody could have had any success with either of those situations. So hopefully that little tidbit in San Fran was a good reset for him. And it come to an offense where KOC had to work with much worse. I think there'll be some success there.
No, I don't think that's crazy at all. Like, I have it's not even a theory. It's kind of proven at this point, and it's nothing crazy. If you are a quarterback drafted by the New York Jets, you're done. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are. Like, you
Yep.
have to be so mentally like just the thickest skin you can imagine. Like for a 21-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid like Sam Darnold, like Zach Wilson, that both had all the arm talent in the world. And to this day, I still think Zach Wilson would have been something if he didn't go to the Jets. And that's not ironclad logic. But what's up? You're muted.
Are you there?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Sorry. Somebody was just calling.
You're all good. Like I said, I learned the hard way too on that before.
Oh, man.
So I was just saying the logic isn't completely ironclad, and then I think Zach Wilson would have been a good quarterback if he didn't go to the Jets because we'll never know.
If Zach had gone to San Fran, I think that would have been so much different.
I think if I went to San Fran,
Yeah.
I don't, and again, I think Brock Purdy is like top 12, top 14 QB. I truthfully do because you look at the numbers. I don't care the scheme that he's in. He's a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's got good ball placement all over the place.
Exactly. Pause. These quarterbacks really are only as good as the scheme around them is. Like even Patrick Mahomes, if Pat Mahomes didn't go to Kansas City, he would still be fantastic. He wouldn't be Patrick Mahomes, potentially already the best football player of all time.
Right.
So those developmental years, like Darnold has been in the league, 5 years now? So, and he's only still
7. He's going on year 7.
You're right.
He's about to turn 27.
That's crazy. Like
I want to say he was 19 when he was drafted.
He just feels like he should be like 30.
You want to know something else wild about Darnold? He played tight end in high school, I want to say until halfway through his junior year. So like regardless, he's still very raw as a quarterback. And it seems like for someone who's played so little, he's got a good skill set, in my opinion.
Oh, no doubt. I remember the Vikings game in Carolina 2022 where he led like a 95 yard drive in the fourth quarter, I think. And I was like, whoa, where has this been? Of course, he's playing an Ed Donatel defense, but like, where has that been, Samuel? You too busy getting mono, making out with other guys? I don't know, Pride Month maybe, but it's I don't know, and I hope he can replicate that, and I think he will to a degree. I do think, and I would like your opinion on this to see if I'm crazy or if I'm just being negative, Brev. Why are we anointing Kevin O'Connell as a quarterback whisperer? He's a former quarterback, I know, but like we got to see it.
I might be the same place as you. I don't know if I want to call him a whisperer, but he has had success with some pretty bad guys to work with.
Yeah. I give him all the credit in the world for what he did with Josh Dobbs in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But like with nothing happened with Jaren Hall. I'm not blaming Kevin O'Connell for nothing happening with Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall's incredibly raw. Like Nick Mullins last year, that's who Nick Mullins has been his entire
His whole
career.
career, yeah.
So like I understand wanting to anoint Kevin O'Connell because he was a quarterback in the last 2 decades. And that I'm not saying I don't have faith, but I am saying that maybe we're a little too quick to say Kevin O'Connell's a quarterback whisperer.
I can agree with that he's not maybe full-fledged whisperer, but he does have something to get a little more out of guys. Not make him like Dobbs, who's just telling him, hey, do this, do that the first 2 games. But then once he like let Dobbs do his thing, it's like, okay, what the hell we got going on here?
Yeah. And for the viewers, like getting stuff out of guys, that's mine and Edman's favorite thing to do. So we have completely all the faith in the world in Kevin O'Connell. And I do think he'll bring out the best of Sam Darnold. Like this, I would put the mortgage on that. This year is going to be the best performance we've ever seen out of Sam Darnold in his NFL
You want to
career.
hear my hot take for Darnold?
Yeah, I did want to get to that.
I think Sam Darnold will throw for the second most touchdowns in a season for a Vikings quarterback ever.
Wow. What's number 1?
That is my hot take. I want to say, didn't Favre throw like 40?
Threw in the neighborhood. So you think Darnold threw like mid-30s?
I'll put a number on 37. He'll throw 37 touchdowns this year.
That would be more than Kirk ever threw. Can you imagine?
I can think of one guy who would be livid about that.
And I know he's probably, I don't know if he watches these, but that would be
You know what? Here, I'll even double down. I bet Darnold has a better season than Kirk.
Oh, like that Kirk will have in Atlanta
this year. Yep.
Yeah. And again, all the respect in the world to Kirk Cousins. Hope Atlanta's treating him well. It certainly was a great draft process for him in Atlanta.
Hey, Penix, top 10 and replacing Kirk. Who said that?
That is true. We will give Edman a spot. There's one man that said that Michael Penix would replace Kirk Cousins, and maybe he'll succeed at it. You know, I'm not as high on Michael Penix. Didn't say it was for the Vikings, but it, you know.
That's who I was hoping it was going to be for. But, I mean, 2/3 of that came true.
Very true. Thankfully, it was not for the Vikings. But, yeah. Moral of the story, we have high confidence. Maybe my confidence isn't as high as Edman's, but I do think I predicted from the jump that Darnold's going to start the entire year, especially if McCarthy's the quarterback you're drafting. McCarthy, I think, is more NFL ready than people give him credit for, just because people want to talk about, oh, he played for a Michigan super team, and then they can't name anybody, and they can't name any of his receivers or tight ends on that super team. Luckily, they don't know that Blake Loveland, tight end for Michigan, is probably going to be a first round pick.
He's going to be a stud.
But not saying it was a very, very good team, but it's a pro style offense. McCarthy is much more NFL ready than people give him.
Well, he was under center the most out of any of the quarterbacks this year, wasn't he? Yeah. That alone would give me higher hopes than a lot of the rest of the other guys.
Yeah, and his numbers in passing situations of 3rd and long, like 3rd and 7 or longer, like blew away every other quarterback in this draft class. Like even Caleb Will, like it wasn't close by far.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm more excited to see McCarthy eventually than maybe I am to see. I mean, if Sam Darnold has some out there resurgence, then cool. But
if Darnold balls out really well, I think we should tag him and trade him. Don't let him walk. Just tag him and trade him.
If Kwesi didn't get something for Sam Darnold, we'll move on. But yeah, so that's our thoughts on Sam Darnold. And before we end the show here, again, thank you for coming on. You've been great as usual.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And please, everybody, if you're on Twitter, again, if you're thinking of getting on Vikings Twitter, don't. But if you're already on Twitter, go ahead and give Edman a follow. Add Edman for a follow on. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Give Edman a follow on Twitter if you're already on there. Before I let you go, 2024 record prediction.
Oh man, I was just so high on Darnold. I think realistically we're gonna end up like 8 and 9.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is going to be, in my opinion, is to see how the defense gels and how much of a step they move up from year 1 to year 2 with Flores. That's going to be the
Absolutely.
biggest factor, in my opinion.
For sure. I'm very interested to see their run game as well, because that needs to come online. That's the main thing with when you're replacing Kirk. Like JJ McCarthy is probably just in as a whole is probably not going to be as good as Kirk Cousins. But
Right.
you don't need JJ McCarthy to be Kirk Cousins. You need the team to gel as a whole, and that's why
Right.
having him on the rookie contract is so vital. And especially God, Dallas Turner. That's Quasey's best move. Dallas Turner trading up to get him at 17. Best move, Quasey. So
I
flowers
think
to
I
him.
agree with that. Yeah.
I've got my schedule. I've got my record prediction pretty much in the ballpark of your. I've got like 7 to 9 wins, so I'll meet you at 8 wins too. This year, as much as they want to pretend it is about winning, it's not.
Yeah.
Unless Darnold again, it has a Baker Mayfield year from last year where we get a little Case Keenum magic and somehow win 13 games the same Darnold at quarterback. That would be cool.
That would really help me push my agenda.
It would, and then we would have to reference this video, and you would gain some great credibility. Unlike
Yeah.
people that say we're trading up for 3rd overall to draft Drake May. I don't know who would do that, but definitely wasn't me. But yeah, Edman, again, thank you very much for coming on. To the viewers, subscribe. Like if you haven't subscribed, like 85% of the people that watch us haven't subscribed. That's a you problem. So go ahead and subscribe.
We'll have to
Edman,
hammer down shows and get them all to subscribe.
if they you know what? If they haven't at this point, it's whatever.
They're not real ones.
You know the real, you know the fake.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, thank you for coming on, Edman. We're gonna get you on again here sometime, probably later this offseason, and get your thoughts, see how Sam Darnold's progressing on the offense. So
I'd love that.
yeah, thank you.